Okay, I think we're live.
Oh, cool.
I'm just gonna check it out to see if I actually did that right.
Fix my hair.
Your videos live now.
All right.
The same drugs. Meghan, Murphy, and Karen Tumajz.
Hi.
Okay, yeah, we're here. That's okay. Okay, can you see the comments?
I don't. Oh, live comments. Oh, wait.
Like, I wonder.
I don't see anything in either.
I wonder if you look at YouTube. I mean, I can see the comments, so maybe you don't need to see the comments. Maybe there won't be any comments.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll make it easy.
It'll just be us sitting together, coughing and blowing our noses on YouTube.
I couldn't read them anyway. I took my glasses off because
There's someone here.
The light was shining, so
okay.
I'm not gonna. You'll have to read them to me.
That's okay. There's somebody says evening, ladies, so that tells me morning.
Uh-oh.
You guys can argue about that amongst yourselves. Okay, so we're here. Can everyone hear us okay? Everyone can see us?
Let us know.
All two of you. So hi.
Ooh,
I'm just like saying hi and everyone who's watching is going to be so confused. Like, what are you talking to, you weirdo? This isn't how YouTube works. So first of all, this is the same drugs. I'm live with Karen Tumajz of Actual Feminism.
Mm-hmm.
We both have colds. We don't believe we have corona.
Yeah, not corona.
So I might like start choking partway through this live stream. 11. We're doing good. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking to the comments so much. It's gonna be really confusing.
No, it's really great stuff, Megan. Keep going.
You guys all into this? Okay, cool. So, first of all, Karen, welcome back.
Thank you.
I know you had a really great time last time I had you on the show, and you were really eager to come back again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. It wasn't like you asked me.
Totally. You begged me.
Yeah. Right, that's what happened.
Yeah. Fine.
Please.
Fine. Leave me alone. So first of all, I want to clarify. Do you have coronavirus?
I mean, I wasn't tested, but it doesn't feel like I have coronavirus. I mean, you can't catch it from a computer anyway, I hear.
No, I don't think you can catch it from a computer. I, on the other hand, sat next to a man who coughed for 6 hours on the plane back from Mexico City recently and was very unhappy. But the nurse told me I don't have coronavirus, just a regular cold that I got from this man who was spitting cough droplets all over the plane. Okay. So part of the reason, everyone, that I wanted to have Karen back is because our last broadcast was a little bit controversial.
You told everybody that you love BDSM and that you watch porn and that you love all men and you hate all women. If I recall correctly.
You said that you hated feminism, if I recall.
I said that I hated feminism, and also I talked with a consistent vocal fry.
Right, yeah, that was one of the main things I wanted to get into, actually, Karen, because I wanted to get to the bottom of this thing. What is with your vocal fry?
I didn't know. I don't know. I
didn't notice that you had I didn't notice that you had a vocal fry. I'm gonna listen really carefully though throughout this broadcast because I think maybe I don't know, maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, or it doesn't grate on me as much as I thought it did.
I don't know. I mean, Maybe if I get like a DNA test, it'll turn out that I'm like 23% Kardashian.
Okay, I
or
hear it now. Are
something.
you doing it on purpose?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm sick, so I can't really avoid it completely. But yeah, I'm trying to do it on purpose, but I'm not going to do it the whole time, I promise.
I think one of the things that I discovered in thinking about this vocal fry issue, because I think 2 people left comments complaining about our vocal fry, mostly yours, but I guess we were both doing it. Thanks a lot, Karen.
Sorry.
And I was like, oh, I didn't notice this at all, which is odd because I don't know. Do you listen to Red Scare?
Yeah.
I almost could not listen to it the first time I tried to listen to it because of the vocal fry. It's so intense and it's so over the top and it's so irritating. So I was like, we're doing that? I swear to God, I would notice because I would be irritated by it.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely not doing it to that level. There's just no way. But I don't know. Sometimes after I listen to that, I'll like kind of dip into that. Like when I listen to accents, I'll do the accents. So after I listen to Red Scare, I'll be a little bit more like, but I hadn't listened to it in weeks before we did our interview. There was no reason for me to have any vocal fry beyond just normal amounts. But men do vocal fry too, and nobody ever seems to notice.
No, I do. I actually do think it's sexist. I don't like to blame everything on sexism.
No, I don't
because, that's too easy for us feminists.
Yeah.
I think the reason I was thinking about it and the reason that it bothers me on Red Scare is not because they do it. Because I actually was like, maybe I don't think vocal fry does bother me that much. It's just that when they do it, it feels like they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're trying really hard to sound sexy. And that bothers me because it's just trying too hard.
Yeah, like sexy and like drug addled a little bit or something. I'm really sexy and I'm like
maybe dying
and dirty. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying. Like they seem like smart women.
I like the show. They're intelligent. Yeah. I did force myself to get past the vocal fry issue to listen because I think that they have some good commentary. Totally. So I'm not, but that's actually my one complaint about that show.
Yeah. They could fix it.
Somebody just commented and said, I'm pretty confused. I don't even have a clue what they're talking about.
Vocal fry. And then Red Scare is a podcast, like a dirtbag left podcast, if people know what that means.
Okay. So now that we've gotten this vocal fry issue out of the way, you're going to stop doing it now, right?
I'm going to try.
Basically, for those of you who are just tuning in, this is Karen Tumajz of Actual Feminism. I'm Megan Murphy of Megan Murphy. And we wanted to respond to some of the feedback that we got around our last episode. But also, I mean, I think that we both watched back and were like, there's a lot of unfinished thoughts here. And we wanted to clarify some of our positions around certain issues because, I don't know, obviously we don't want to be misunderstood or inadvertently offensive. Right. Regularly offensive. All good. And so, I mean, I guess one of the main things that I noticed in response was that some people felt frustrated or disappointed about our rejection of feminism, particularly our rejection of radical feminism, which I don't think is totally accurate. Like, I don't think that it's true that either of us, we weren't rejecting feminism, and I don't think we were actually rejecting even radical feminism. Maybe you can speak to that a bit.
I think it was more about rejecting the label. And I can understand why you want to have like group solidarity, and the label is really important to people. But I feel like, well, I mean, I won't speak for you, but I sense that for you as well. But for me, it was kind of just about not being boxed in by it, by being allowed to think outside of it and hopefully bring new things to it. You know, it's like, I don't want to like leave feminism, but I want to be able to add to it and make it grow. And the only way you can do that is with outside thoughts, things that don't exist yet. And not having a label helps you to be able to explore all kinds of areas.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, I think, I mean, I find that the term feminism is so misunderstood these days that when you say it, I don't know that anyone really understands what you're talking about, and that it's probably easier and just more productive to say what you mean. To say, you know, I believe in this, I don't believe in this, I think this is a better policy, I think people shouldn't pay marginalized women for access to their bodies, things like that.
Things like that, yeah. I mean, in the US anyway, like conservative politicians, when they talk about radical feminism, they're talking about like the exact opposite of what we believe. They're talking about like blue hairs who, you know, love sex work, and, you know, that they're not talking about the women who call themselves radical feminists. So like it is like, no matter like whoever you're talking to has a very different, will have a different idea of what radical feminist means.
Yes, that's totally true. Like I think like the right wingers in the US would probably have described the like slut walk women as radical feminists.
Exactly. They do. Yeah.
Yeah. Radical, so I guess meaning like crazy, like extreme, but kind of like out there, just, you know, the radical left, the way that they talk about the left wingers who I don't know, include trans activists who are trying to shut everything down and really acting like a bunch of ridiculous lunatics. And have a lot of different colors of hair and piercings and whatnot. And I mean, yeah, like for me, I guess I feel like the labels, I mean, like you said, I feel like it just kind of boxes me in a way that I don't feel comfortable with. It opens you up to policing. So if you say, I'm this, and somebody else says, well, that means you must believe blank, blank, blank. You must support this position. You must agree with these mantras. And if you don't, then you can't be a feminist in this case. And I would just prefer not to be in a position where I can get kicked out of something. I'd rather just have conversations. And of course, I am a feminist. Of course, like all my work should speak to that. And the fact that I am sort of rejecting the idea of attaching myself to these identities shouldn't be the thing that kicks me out of feminism. It should be what I say and do, and what I've worked towards for several years now.
Right. Yeah. I think you've got the credentials. You shouldn't be kicked out. I wouldn't vote you off.
Yeah. And I
Feminist
mean,
island.
Somebody says, I think it's so sad feminism has been made a dirty word by misogynists. Young women should be embracing that term and proudly identifying as feminists. Why would any woman not be a feminist?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm less worried about men, you know, thinking about, like, for me personally, I'm less, you know, it's less about that. It's more about being policed by other women. But I mean, if you, a lot of people identify with like the idea of like women's equality, whatever that might mean. But like feminist has come to mean, and I don't think that's just misogynist's fault. Like, I think there have been some difficult to understand to normal people, feminists who have made it hard for people to understand and hard for people to like want to join.
Yeah, I actually don't really think I could care less what misogynists think about feminism. I don't know that women are rejecting the term feminism or the identity because they're worried about what misogynists think about it. I mean, maybe some women are, but feminism is such a popular thing nowadays. Like, I don't think feminism is a dirty word. Like, when women started calling themselves feminists in the second wave, I think that there was really a lot of backlash and serious mockery. And now, I mean, you know, feminism is used as a marketing tool. Like, it's pretty mainstream. I think that it's more that, especially more conservative women I think that they will see what's being presented as feminism and think it's ridiculous. Like slut walk, like, you know, feminist porn, like this embracing of prostitution and self-objectification and pole dancing and burlesque and of course all this gender identity nonsense. I mean, if that's what I looked up and saw this is what feminism is, I'd be like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's what I do. I mean, I so much of the theory involved in radical feminism I found and continue to find incredibly useful.
Yeah.
So I certainly wasn't meaning to reject radical feminist thought or radical feminists or radical feminist theory. I just really don't want to be working within this kind of insular bubble that I find is not totally applicable in the real world. And I think there was some other feedback along those lines, because at some point, Karen, I think you mentioned that these were sort of ideas that shouldn't be applied in real life.
Well, I wasn't saying that they shouldn't be applied in real life. I think they should be applied with caution when you're working with other people, because there is, like, probably one of the best things about radical feminism is everything about body image, everything about, you know, just allowing yourself to look like what you look like. And that's obviously very personal. And that's kind of like one of those like personal gains that a lot of women get, like where they feel like less self-conscious about their bodies. And like, that's obviously very personal. But when it comes to like having a disagreement with somebody about something, like something minor, or like your friend hurt your feelings, or you're like somebody had one view of a situation and you had another, like that's not political. That's not. And I'm seeing a lot, especially online, of women treating what are really just like normal humans misunderstanding each other or disagreeing on things as though they are like some kind of, you know, political thing that like must be brought in line with like radical feminism, or like we're all going to suffer and we're all going to die. And it's just like, it's just not that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. Like you have to allow for like real life to be a bit messy, and that there's not going to always be like oppressor oppressed, like dynamics that are clear cut, because it's not like that in real life every time. Sometimes it is really clear. And like, you know, there are obviously some very clear abuse cases and things like that. And I'm not saying like that women should be like, oh, give the guy a chance. I'm just saying like, I'm seeing some very minor things between women be treated as like huge political, like betrayals. Just like, just let people like, disagree.
You guys just don't like each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, feminism hasn't been immune to the kind of hyperbole that we see in the left in general, where we take words like abuse and harassment and even violence and apply them to situations liberally, to situations that are not that are not violent or abusive and really don't constitute harassment. Like somebody sending you a bunch of DMs is not criminal harassment. Right. It's like some other woman in radical feminism. I mean, if like there's an actual man who's like stalking you and harassing you and abusing you, then yes, of course, that's a different story. But you get in an argument with a woman online and she sends you some DMs online, she's not guilty of harassment.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly.
And then, so there were some other issues that I'm hoping people will ask us questions. I don't even know about what. Like, do we have expertise in anything?
No.
We're just here chatting.
Yeah.
Ask me about my plants. Yeah. I water them once a week.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, they're
I
great.
kill my plants a lot, but I've got one spider plant that's
Man, I used to kill all my
going.
plants, and this is the first year that I decided I wanted to try plants again since I was maybe like 22 years old, and I have, in my brain was like, nope, you can't do plants. Like, you killed your cactus, that's it. And I
Yeah.
got a plant, and it started doing well, and I got more plants, and they're all doing well. And now I have plants in my apartment, and I'm one of those people who has plants in their apartment, and it's really great. It actually brings me a lot of pride and joy, and I'm not joking.
Yeah, no, and it makes the air nicer, like it does. It
Yeah.
actually, you can tell with like with people, like when you get a lot of plants, you can really tell that the air is like cleaner.
I mean, I haven't noticed my air, but I have noticed that my apartment looks slightly more like a grown-up apartment as opposed to like an 18-year-old boy's apartment.
That's nice. Cleaning helps too.
Karen, you and your trad wife advice.
If you're by yourself, can't be a trad
Get back in the kitchen. um. Okay, so and the other thing that I was hoping that you would elaborate on, well, there's many things, but one of the things I was hoping you would elaborate on was so you were talking about theories that maybe weren't applicable in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to figure out which way this works. And one thing you mentioned was natalism, anti-natalism.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's I'm sure we could dig deep somewhere into like the feminist texts. I'm sure this has been argued for a really long time, but there's definitely like I get both sides. I get that there's an argument that having children, like doing what's expected of you in sort of any way is like throwing a bone to the patriarchy. But I also like think that we're animals and we want to reproduce. It's like kind of a big part of being an animal is like wanting to have babies. And we're wired to think babies are cute, and they are cute, and most of them, well, some of them. And I just, I wonder about like denigrating like the woman's like the female role in reproduction by being like, oh, it's disgusting that you would have children or like even be pregnant. And I don't know. I could go either way on it, but obviously I have kids, so I have to go that way.
Well, no, okay, so I think you're right. And I actually can speak to this from some level of experience because I, for a long, 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 long time, rejected. I mean, I still do. I don't want to have children. It's never been like a major desire for me. But I rejected having kids and I sort of saw reproducing as this like yeah, going along with your feminine role under patriarchy. Like women are just doing it because they think they have to, and they're not thinking about it, and they're not questioning about it, and they're not making an active choice. And I was like, less women should have babies. And I mean, I don't know if I really disagree. If you really want to have babies, then you should definitely have babies. And I still do think that probably a lot of women just do have kids because they think they should and they don't really think about it and it's what's expected of them. But I think I sort of sneered at that choice, just as I would have sneered at the choice for a woman to, stay home and take care of her kids, which I don't do any longer because, mothers want to be around their babies and babies want to be around their mothers. And that's totally natural. But it's that this has been turned into a regressive thing, partly because historically women have been forced to stay in the house and out of the public realm, but also, that position has been denigrated and then you're offered no power or autonomy in that position.
Yeah, I mean, like what I want to see more of, which is like what I do, but I can kind of get away with it. And I won't say where I work, but I bring my baby to work, and I brought her because of something that happened with my boss, I had to go in 2 weeks after giving birth. So I brought her like even as a tiny little baby, and I would breastfeed and help people at the same time. And like, I want to see more of that. Like, I think women should bring babies to work and breastfeed them at their desks, because especially when they're like newborns, it costs like $8 million to like have somebody else take care of them. But they're like, they sleep all the time. They're really not that bad. I think women having their babies with them and still participating in life should just be like just a normal state of affairs. And the only way that's going to happen is if women just start doing that. And I was like,
there'll be so much backlash, though. I agree with you.
I don't know. We had just in the US, we just had, I think, a congresswoman breastfeed like while, voting, like on the floor. I think they had to like change the rules to allow it or something. But I mean, it came and went like without much to do.
Okay, well, that's great.
So maybe.
I mean, yeah, it's obviously like a real struggle for women who have kids, and like most families can't afford for one person to just stay home indefinitely.
Right.
And they're forced to go back to work early, and it's really hard on the mother and the baby. And I mean, and then if you care about your career and you want to go back to work, that's like a hard choice too. I mean, you do want to do both, and I think that it's a tough one because of the money issue, obviously, but
right. For sure.
So somebody says some women actually want the old-fashioned lifestyle, like cooking/cleaning and being a wife. I don't really understand it, but some women really want it. And I actually did want to talk to you about, have you been paying attention to the trad wife? I'm not saying this person is necessarily referencing the trad wife phenomenon, because trad wife is about more than just staying home and cooking and cleaning.
Submission thing.
Yeah.
And that's gross. Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you think that comes from?
I think defined roles. I think right now we have a lot of instability, and like nobody knows what they're supposed to be doing. Nobody knows how courtship is supposed to happen. The stuff
so
about
you just like flirt with somebody and then you make out, and then
but then
they turn into your boyfriend.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say like nobody knows, but I mean, I do observe that like the advice given to young people is like really like, is it like ableist if I say schizophrenic? Like it's just like all over the place, and it's like
like what kind of advice?
Well, I mean, there's all the consent stuff, right? And like you need this enthusiastic consent at every step of the way, and it's really confusing. It sounds like you need to get like legal forms signed. And
it's so unnatural. Like honestly, this consent stuff is ridiculous. Like the people who are teaching it, like ask every time you fucking do anything. I'm like, do you really do that? Because stay away from me. Like I would never hook up with somebody like that. But it's also discounting the fact that so much communication is unsaid.
Right.
Like, are these people unaware that lots of communication happens without words? Like body language, subtle and unsubtle cues. I mean, you're sending cues that you don't even know that you're sending, but also like, I mean, leaning into somebody or touching somebody, like,
or leaning away, like that's if young men are having trouble,
to tell if somebody doesn't want to be around you, like you're like,
teach them that. Not like teach them, they have to bring their iPad and they're like, I have a few pages of forms for you to fill out, an initial here, please. Like, but anyway, I just think that for some people, like, and also I think that, not everybody has ambitions for a career, but they may have, like, being a mother is really fulfilling. It is. And for like a lot of people, it's super fulfilling in a very different way than a job. So I think it's a mixture of like very many motivations. One is just that like it's confusing to know what role to play, but you can kind of like look over time at like what the trad wife role might be, or what that like, cooking, cleaning, that makes sense. it's already defined, it's already available to you. And then you're just kind of splitting things in a way that, might seem more or less fair. But I think there's a few motivations for why women might go for that. I mean, I'm in that situation right now, but that's just because like that ends up being the most fair because my husband works all the time and I'm at home with the kids and he cleans too and he cooks too. But like I'm certainly taking on the bulk of it. But that's just like the logistics of it just makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, I guess I was sort of wondering because I get why women would, stay home with their kids for sure.
Yeah.
And if you're home with the kids, I think it does make more sense that you would probably be preparing the meals if your partner's not around to do grocery shopping and get organized and all that stuff. But I guess the trad wife phenomenon, which is it includes staying home and being a housewife and taking care of the kids, raising the kids. But it also includes like letting your husband make all the major decisions and kind of being submissive to him and being selfless. Like, so putting yourself last and putting him first, putting your family and your husband first. And I don't know that there's anything wrong with putting your kids first. I figure probably a lot of moms do that kind of inherently. But yeah, that's what I was wondering. I mean, I don't know how widespread this trend is, but I think, conservatives probably like to pretend that it is and that it's a backlash to feminism, and maybe it is.
I also don't believe it. I don't believe that those women, especially the ones who blog about it and stuff, and who are like really putting it out there, like that. I don't believe that they.
You don't believe they.
I think they're allowing the impression of submission, but I'm sure they're just like, I'm sure they're finding a way to push men, their men in certain directions. And I'm sure they have boundaries where they'd have arguments that they may not, air on the internet. But I bet they're.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that any human being would just never say anything. Like if they felt like they disagreed or felt like, this is like wrong or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, it puts you in a really vulnerable position. Mostly because you have no financial power.
Yeah.
And you have no means of escape if you need to. I mean, unless you have a family that you can go to or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess I don't think taking care of a child is supposed to be the job of one person anyway. It's communal, and many cultures are still communal with how they approach child rearing. Yeah, I mean, that's the other part of the problem is moms are so isolated in this culture.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you're kind of left on your own to do things and you don't have much help. And that would probably make it a less fun job. Like, cool, I don't get to be around other adults ever. I have to do this all by myself and like struggle with like the stress. And I mean, I don't know what it's like to raise a child, but I hear difficult.
Yeah, it is. And you do like go like, oh my God, I just want to talk to a grown-up. I just want to have a grown-up conversation. Because you end up watching like tons of kids shows and stuff. But yeah, I mean, like that's why I really like taking my children to work. It's because other people will just step in just automatically, just like for the joy of spending some time with some children, will like, hang out with them while I do other things. So it becomes more communal and it does make it a lot easier.
That's nice.
So more of that in life for other people.
I have to tell you that, Karen, if I worked at your work, I wouldn't hang out with your kids.
You've never met my son.
Are they very charming? I do like weirdos. Like I like weird kids.
My son is extremely weird, but like in a really charming way. Yeah. I'll send you something later.
I like to pretend like I hate cats and I hate kids, but I don't hate cats and I don't hate kids. I just choose dogs. And I feel like with kids, it's like kids have personalities. So it's like some kids I like because they have personalities that I like, and other kids I'm kind of like, not that into you. And I think that's fine. Like I see posts on the internet all the time where people are like, if you don't like kids, you hate all kids. What is this kid hating culture? And I'm like, I don't hate kids. Maybe I just don't like your kid. And I'm not going to go be mean to your kid. I just don't want to hang out with your kid because he's annoying and whiny.
Yeah. I mean,
and no offense to your kid, like he's just a kid.
And they'll grow out of it.
Why do I have to like them all? That doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm not expected to like all people. Kids are people. Come on.
Sure. Yeah, no. I mean, I do think that the culture is, at least American culture, is a little bit kid hating. There's definitely. Yeah.
I feel like people are rewarded for having kids. Like, I feel like you're kind of ignored and invisible and useless until you have kids. And then when you have kids, all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're doing something. Good for you. You're doing your role. Like, what are you doing? I mean, for women, probably more so than men.
I'm not sure. I mean, I went to Iceland and it was just a very different experience. Like, just the way that people were just so calm and smiley and friendly with kids, and there was parks and stuff outside of shopping mall, strip malls almost. There would be a park where the kids could just play, and you could just go get coffee and go do things, and it just seemed like there was kind of just more child friendly.
Okay, I see.
As just a whole institutional thing. But yeah, I mean, I think that one of the things that's really confusing about the world today in general is that everything is true and nothing is true at the same time. So you have I think it is both true that you're hearing messages about being worthless for not having kids. And I think it's also true that women who do have kids are hearing messages about how they've oh, you just have your kids and you're boring, and what a suburban mom, and you have no you have no culture, you have no no social value. It just depends on which side it's coming from, because everything's so polarized. So you really are hearing both messages, and that's true in a bunch of different arenas. I think that when young girls are hearing all kinds of shit, contradictory stuff, because the culture just isn't one way right now. There is no dominant.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, because I do think that mothers are denigrated and disrespected, and at the same time, women who choose not to have kids are denigrated and disrespected. And so you're useless. And there's something wrong with you if you don't have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like mothers are cared for or respected or treated very well in our culture either. If you're just tuning in, Karen and I are both sick.
Yeah, sorry.
So
I'm really close to the screen. I'm gonna
got her Kleenex out. And I'm drinking I have 3 cups of tea going. I'm not even drinking bourbon tonight, you guys, which is a pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. I didn't have wine, and I'm chewing on this weird echinacea thing right now. Got to. I'm almost good. I've just got a bit of a cough, and I'm scared that I'm gonna choke to death halfway through this live stream and traumatize people. I was gonna say, I just want everyone to know I didn't drink wine for 3 days in a row this week because of my illness, which is not coronavirus, according to the nurse that I talked to over the phone.
She doesn't know.
It's a bit weird to me, right? I called my doctor. I have a family doctor. This isn't just some nothing walk-in clinic, and I'm in Canada, so it's free. I called my doctor and I was like, hey, I have a chest cold or something. Should I come in and get tested for coronavirus so I know if I need to, not be around people ever so that I don't infect them? And they got a nurse to call me back, and the nurse talked to me and asked me about my symptoms, and she was like, nah, you don't need to come in for a test. It's fine. And I was like,
fine. Walk it off.
I kind of self-quarantined anyway, though, just to be safe. And also I work in my house. So
makes it easy. Yeah, I just feel like people are going to feel stressed out when they hear me like sniffling. Like
stressed out? Do you guys feel stressed out?
No, I just feel like other people will like.
Oh, out in the world. I know. Yeah, I feel like I have a cough. So I just feel like I'm going to freak people out.
Yeah.
Like, I was at the grocery store today and I was like, just like so scared I was going to cough and everyone was going to be like,
don't cough, don't cough, don't cough,
don't cough. I was at the grocery store stocking up on toilet paper.
Oh, good.
I bought some toilet paper.
Was there some on the shelf? Because
there's still lots of toilet paper in Vancouver. It seems like there's like I keep reading online about all these places where there's no toilet paper left. Is there toilet paper where you are?
Well, I went yesterday or the day before, and there was toilet paper. I bought one thing of it because I was like, looks like that's not a real problem. But then people who went today that I know showed just empty aisles, like just empty shelves. I was like,
actually, Jesus. At the same grocery store that you were at?
Not the same grocery store, but the same general town. So like, I mean, I haven't been back. I don't shop every day because I don't like shopping.
I never go shopping.
Yeah.
Like I hardly ever go to the grocery store, but today I was like, it's because of social media. Like I'm scrolling through my feed and I'm trying to get freaked
that toilet paper.
Like I was like, oh shit. Like maybe I should be more stressed out than I am, which is not stressed out at all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're invested in the stock market, then you should be very stressed out. But
yeah, so I'm stressed out about the economy.
Yeah.
Tell me your Corona hot take. Do you have a hot take?
Like where it comes from or like what's going on?
Just your opinions. Just any opinion you have about Corona. What is it that we should all be panicking about or not panicking about? What is going to happen? How is this going to end, Karen?
So I started out really dismissive, not like super dismissive about it, but like just very much like against anybody telling me that I needed to freak out.
Yes.
Just like, please don't tell me that I need to freak out, because if I think about it, like if you're panicking, you make weird decisions. And I just think nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about. Nobody is sure about anything. Nobody can predict any of it. So I think it's like, like a pretty conservative, like, plan for the worst, hope for the best. Maybe not plan for the worst. Like, I don't know how you plan for the worst, but, get some toilet paper.
I bought a lot of tuna.
Yeah, I bought some tuna too. Get some tuna, get some beans, and then, just like live your life. Don't freak out about it. And then like, I mean, that's the one thing that I don't know, like what people should be doing or not. Like, I feel almost lucky that I am sick because I didn't really have to think about, should I go out or should I not go out? Because it's like, if you don't go out, you're fucking with the economy, especially your local economy. But if you do go out, you might spread the virus or it might spread to you. And I don't know the answer to that.
No, I don't know the answer either, because I feel like the canceling of everything is like a bit nuts, because that's gonna fuck people so much and fuck the economy so much. But I mean, at the same time, I don't know how else they're gonna contain the virus unless people stop being around other people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So my Corona hot take is just like, don't have hot takes on Corona. Just like.
Well, I just wish people wouldn't, panic so much. I feel like people online are really panicking and spreading around their hot takes.
Yeah.
Stop spreading around your hot takes online.
I don't, you know what?
After I just asked you for yours.
I think what we could do, I just had the idea. I mean, so most retail stores have online stores too, even local ones. I mean, I don't know, my experience is with like vape shops, but most local stores have some online thing. You can buy stuff online, and then grocery stores and restaurants do too. Just like we should just all be ordering just delivery of everything.
What about Chinese food?
Yeah, totally.
Is that a good joke or a bad joke?
So racist.
I legit ordered Chinese food last night. I've been ordering my food in because I saw quarantined and I was sick.
No, I think that's a good thing.
But then I was like, I don't even want to admit that I have. I thought it about all the food that I was ordering,
Right,
and not just the China. I was like,
Sure.
I was like, what if people at the restaurants? You're like, What if Foodora has coronavirus? Like,
I mean, it's
like,
not
you don't know, because what if the person who's preparing your food is coronavirus and they coughed on your food? Maybe you shouldn't be ordering takeout. Maybe I should just be eating my cans of tuna at home alone with my dog.
Yeah, maybe.
Sitting on piles of toilet paper.
Toilet paper throne. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you could take your chances with it. I mean, or you could buy like soup and then you could reboil it. Just buy soup. Everybody buys soup.
Okay, I've decided that I'm going to put some bourbon in my tea. I think I'm okay.
I'm almost done with my margarita, so.
Oh, you had a margarita in your mug?
Hell yeah.
Cute.
That's how, that's how I look normal.
So now that we've discussed your vocal fry, your coronavirus hot take, and
dissing
feminism, why you should bring your babies everywhere and make other people take care of them.
Yeah.
I also want to talk, I guess now would be the appropriate time to talk about BDSM.
Yeah, tell us why you like it.
No, you tell us why you like it.
No, you tell me why you like it. I don't like it.
You guys, in the comments section, why do you guys love BDSM?
Yeah, why do you like BDSM so much? No, I don't like it, but I think the point that you were trying to make, and then I made a joke over it, and then we laughed about it, and then we moved on too fast, was that well, I don't know if I should speak for you.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell for people watching what I said, so they know. Yeah. No turfs on our turf is the comment that just popped up. Yes, turfs on our turf.
This is all turfs on this turf. It just is.
This is our turf.
What turf do they think that this is? That they're like.
This is our turf. Get off our turf. This is turf.
Dumb. Just dumb.
Okay, so what I said about BDSM jokingly was that, well, I mean, I didn't really say anything about BDSM jokingly. It's just that after, talking about like kicking people out of feminism who miss watching porn or maybe practice BDSM privately in their own lives, and I was sort of saying like, I don't know, I don't really think, I mean, I guess what I want to say is that there's a difference between privately liking something and maybe struggling with that, thinking critically about it, questioning it, but having contradictory feelings about certain practices or behaviors and likes and dislikes. I think that's totally different than publicly promoting a practice.
Yeah.
So, what I essentially said, I didn't clarify. I do not practice BDSM, right. Everyone. I have not. I never have. What I did say was that I understand what it feels like to desire something that does not necessarily align with your values or politics, which is perfectly natural. I mean, as if anyone's politics perfectly align with all of their inner thoughts and desires.
Right. Yeah. And I do think that BDSM doesn't come out of just absolutely nothing. I do think that thinking about things in terms of power is kind of like, especially like personal relationships, is one of the things that I don't really love about feminism. Like, I think it's good to run that like program sometimes just to check to make sure that it's like that there isn't some huge power imbalance, but like generally speaking, I don't like it. But with like the critical theory stuff and the queer theory, it's like just all about power, and like the BDSM stuff comes out of that. But then there's also like, there is some truth to like that some people do enjoy what you might call being a little bit more submissive and like letting people, make the moves, and that other people enjoy the opposite. So it's like,
yeah, and I mean, I know men like that too. They're very unattractive, but I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in general, I don't know. I suppose, yeah, I mean, I suppose it depends on the dynamic. Like, I think I'm a pretty, like, dominant, assertive person, so it really doesn't work for me to be around passive people.
Yeah.
In intimate relationships, especially, but also in friendships, because I don't want to be in charge of everything all the time, and I don't want to bulldoze. And it's like,
right.
I'm not interested in being around somebody who's like, okay, sure, yeah, whatever.
I don't care. Yeah.
Just say, and I mean those kinds of people, I also don't believe them. It's like, you have an opinion, just say what your opinion is.
Yeah.
I don't care whatever you want. You literally don't care. You don't care either way. You don't care about like tacos versus sushi. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
But yeah, so I guess like I mean, I think that the problem in radical feminism comes along when people or women are expecting other women to sort of have perfect inner lives.
Yeah.
And perfect personal lives. And to make perfect choices all the time, and to like, even things like, you know, like I've always worn makeup.
Mm.
I've never defended it as a feminist choice, and I'm critical of makeup. And I'm critical of the reasons why women feel they have to wear makeup. But I still do it. I like it. I think it makes me look more attractive to men.
Wow.
I don't know what to say. Like, I feel like if you're gonna do it, just be honest about what. Like, I'm not wearing it for you, Karen.
Oh, well, I'm like literally wearing mine for you, because I've worn makeup twice in the last like 18 months, and it was both times. Like, I put like a little bit of powder on before the last time that we talked.
I did not notice, but
I put a little bit of powder and a little bit of mascara on this time.
You look beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm very impressed.
I put in effort and I showered. So.
I mean, it does, like, it's like I've always, I think, I've always sort of worn makeup so that I don't look sickly. That's like a big reason that because I'm very pale and there's not very much color in my face. Yeah. And so if I don't wear makeup, people ask me if I'm feeling okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I also like, I also like in my day-to-day life, I wear a lot of men's clothes. Like when I go walking around outside, I'm just wearing big jeans and like sneakers and some big huge sweatshirt and some like lumberjack jacket and a toque. Like I'm not walking around trying to look sexy all the time. But then at the same time, yes, sometimes when I go out, I wear heels and a dress and like I don't know, like I want to look pretty.
Yeah. It is just a reality that like your message can be delivered sometimes better if you look nice. That other people, you know, because we all have biases and we all have like, we can close our minds or open our minds to a certain message, and it can be all kinds of signals that tell us whether or not to do that. And one of those signals can be somebody looking like disheveled and not looking like put together, or maybe not even being pretty. Like sometimes there's power in prettiness because people are more receptive to what you have to say. And that's awful, but it's just true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I was going to say that if somebody looks kind of like schlubby, I'm less inclined to take them seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm thinking of like on TV or like a politician or something like that. I'm not just talking about in general life necessarily. Like like I meet on the street.
It's like what's his face? Zizek, Slavoj Zizek or whatever. Like
yeah, exactly.
Really slobby.
Like, come on.
Put on a new shirt. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if there's anything in particular you wanted to address. I have like a few other things on my list here.
I didn't read any of the comments. Like, not reading the comments is self-care.
The comments were mostly good, to be honest. Like, I was actually worried to post that video. I was a bit stressed out about it, but
all I saw
the feedback was positive, to be honest.
All I saw was the vocal fry one. I was like, that's so rude. I don't know why. I really don't find it offensive. I'm not self-conscious about it, but like the person who said it said like I was gonna ruin my voice. And like I don't know. I do a lot of impressions. I do at one point in my life wanted to get into voiceover work really badly.
And Can you please do an impression now?
I'm trying to think. I'm like starting to get a little drunk, and I'm like,
perfect.
What should I do an impression of?
Are you one of those people who gets drunk and all of a sudden has an accent?
No, not unless unless somebody else has an accent. But I will say there was a point. It's gonna take me some time. There was a point where I could do a pretty good impression of you. But,
okay, do it.
Oh, I can't because I haven't done it in so long.
I don't even know what I do. I didn't know that I did a thing.
Well, you do you say bean instead of bin.
Okay. Or do you say some words weird?
You do say some words weird, yeah.
I know, because people make fun of me. Yeah, it's a Canadian accent thing, but then I think that some of it is also tied to. So my mom's American, so then I say American weird. Like I think I say American, and I'm over exaggerating now, but in an American way.
Yeah.
I say some words in a Canadian way, and some anyway.
Yeah. But you do have a certain cadence to the way you talk. But I feel like I should have thought about it before this so I could describe it well. There are some specific things that are unique to the way you talk. And actually I was editing a podcast that I had recorded a long time ago, and I had just been listening to a lot of you talking. And in the podcast, I was talking a lot like you. It didn't end up actually even getting published, but I was like, oh my God, I can totally tell. I was listening to a bunch of I
think everybody does that a little bit. I've noticed myself doing that when I'm listening to somebody a lot. I'll start kind of talking like them too. So relating them a little bit.
Yeah.
Where in Canada, because you don't have I'm from Vancouver. That's why I don't have a strong Canadian accent. I'm just responding to some comments. The strong Canadian accent people are the people on the East Coast, mostly.
Yeah.
People from Ontario and then Nova Scotia and places like that.
Yeah. Those are super strong accents. They're awesome, though. I love a good Canadian accent.
Yeah, I like them, too. They're odd, but somebody else says... I've seen you, Megan, when you came to New Zealand. You look okay.
Aww.
Thank you.
From New Zealand.
I'm okay.
Super awesome accents. New Zealand.
Okay, what other impression can you do?
Oh my God, don't put me on the spot.
Okay, sorry.
I'm sorry. I can do Bjork.
I'm just impressed that you can do impressions. I can't do any impressions.
I can talk like Bjork. I'm from Iceland.
That's pretty good.
I can do I actually do singing impressions really well, but I really don't want to do it right now because it's late at night.
Fair enough.
Yeah, someday.
Okay, so somebody said that your vocal fry was going to ruin your voice.
Yeah, and I was just like, no, that's bullshit. I just don't. I'm sorry, I don't believe it. I'm a super awesome singer. I'm not even trying to brag. It's just the only thing I'm really fucking good at is singing.
That's okay.
And I just do not believe that a few occasional is gonna ruin my voice.
You're allowed to know that you're good at things.
No, I know that, but
no, I know.
I don't like when other people talk about
what kind of singing do you do? What kind of songs do you sing?
What did they call it 10 years ago? Indie rock.
Okay, are you in a band?
I used to be. Now I'm just,
I'm on.
Fat old feminist. Mom. Yeah. Don't do it anymore. But
my actually real life dream when I quit feminism is to start a cover band. So.
Oh my God, what do you want to cover?
The band, Wings.
Wings.
Wings. The band Wings.
The band.
The band. The band.
The band. The band. Wings,
classic
Paul
rock.
McCartney. You
classic rock. Paul McCartney.
Holy shit.
I'm a huge classic rock fan.
Oh, that's fucking awful.
No, it's not. Are you not into classic? Who doesn't like classic rock?
Like, what are we talking about? Well, Stones are good.
The
Yeah, I like Stones. Beatles are
Led
fine.
Zeppelin.
Yeah, they're good.
Led Zeppelin. The Band. Wings. Nash and Young.
I guess.
No.
I don't. Yeah, fine. I mean, so like I have to listen to classic rock a lot at one of my jobs, so I'm like a little over like Journey and those
I'm not into Journey
things. And like Tom Petty's okay, but I could like.
Yeah, I don't care that much.
I could never hear a Tom Petty song again and be okay with it.
Okay, what's your favorite band? This is just turning into like a fun Q&A with me and Karen. What are you eating right now?
I'm like the next wave. So I like Devo. I like Talking Heads. I like
Talking Heads.
Yeah. And then I like songs that surprise me. Like They Might Be Giants. Yeah, I like songs from the 80s and 90s that surprise me and make me laugh is like my specific like niche that I really love. But I like some modern stuff too. Do you like any, like, besides Heart, do you like any, like, women, like, female-led music?
I like Janis Joplin.
Okay. So no Janis Joplin, no Heart.
I love Carole King.
Fleetwood Mac. Okay, Carole King.
No, I like Fleetwood Mac, okay.
Mm-hmm. Hey, speaking of Fleetwood Mac, sorry, I just want to, like, pause, like, just because nobody, like, notices. Next time you listen to a Fleetwood Mac song, next time you listen to Stevie Nicks sing, imagine it's Cartman singing from South Park, and you're just going to be like, it's going to change your life because Stevie Nicks sounds like Cartman.
Okay, I'll do that. Good tip.
It's going to change your life.
Okay. Now, so online, on a totally different topic.
Yeah.
I was on the internet today.
Lies.
No, I was on the internet yesterday. I was also on the internet.
See, I told you it was lies.
I was on the internet every single day this week. And what I saw on the internet was that you, like me, are a big Jersey Shore fan.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, explain why. Because somebody was like, why would you waste your time on that?
People don't understand. I didn't understand. I was really late to Jersey Shore. I didn't get it. You know, I just dismissed it. Like, I was just like, the masses. Look at what the masses are doing. They don't like good things. But my husband got me into it because he was watching it. And I don't know. Like, I can't explain it. We should, with my co-host Jean from Actual Feminism, like, we have to, like, all talk about this because she especially has just, like, the most amazing analysis of reality shows in general, but like it's so amazing, and every time you rewatch it, it's a different show. I love Ronnie's emotions, like all kinds of things I didn't think I would care about.
So sensitive.
Amazing. Yeah,
I love Mike. But I've loved Mike since the beginning. This may give you some insight into me.
Okay,
but like when Jersey Shore first started and Mike was this like,
he's pretty hot,
aggro, douchey, like drug addicted womanizer. I was like, I have such a big crush on Mike.
Really? I was always a Vinny girl myself.
I had a crush on Mike, and then he got even better. Like, I mean, because he got sober and he did all this like self work and turned into this like wonderful, really nice, good, calm, centered man.
I guess. I always found him really emotionally. I always found him really emotionally manipulative, and I always found that his like his takes, so like what was actually happening, were very far off, and he was very paranoid about other people. Obviously, it was worse when he was on drugs. But when I was watching like Family Vacation, he seemed like less drug addled, but he was eating all the time. He wasn't hot anymore.
He was addicted to eating.
But I love his advice. Like when he gives advice to somebody, it's like, I mean, just in general, like when two people on Jersey Shore give each other advice, they'll say the most mundane shit as though it's the most profound thing you've ever heard. And it's just like, it's poetry. It's amazing. I love it.
People are disappointed that we like Jersey Shore in the comments. They just said that we fell off the pedestal, which I have to. I keep pushing myself. I have to push myself off the pedestal because I don't want to be on a pedestal.
Watch the Jersey Shore first season to like watch the whole first season, and if you don't love it, if you don't understand like what's amazing about it, then there's just no hope for you. It's not like about just sort of consuming like garbage. Like there's so much to see and so much to think about, and like, oh man, getting high and watching the Jersey Shore is amazing. Like you have all kinds of crazy thoughts. The
thing that's good about these shows, like, because I love Jersey Shore. I've been watching since the beginning. My favorite show is Vanderpump Rules.
I haven't seen that. No, but Jean does, so you will have lots to talk with her about.
I mean, it's about the characters and the relationships between the characters.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about voyeurism so much. It's about getting to know the characters, and they're engaging and, whatever. Their relationships with one another, which are quite warm in these shows. Like, they have genuine, real friendships, and they really care about each other. It's not fake. It's real.
Well,
not being naive.
I am there for like, I am a little bit there as like a voyeur, especially with like Real Housewives. Like, especially like I haven't watched a lot of it. I've just watched a few seasons of New York, but like, I just love it when like a super rich person says something that's just so like mind-bogglingly deluded. And just like nobody notices, but like, but you know, and like clearly the editors of the show. Have you watched it's not a reality show, but have you watched Unreal?
Oh yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really good.
It's a good show too.
Yeah. Somebody asks, I'm really curious how gender critical feminists can even stand to watch such misogynistic shows. I'm honestly asking. I'm not saying you can't enjoy things, but how does it not make you angry? I don't find Jersey Shore, I don't know, any more misogynistic than
just the world at large.
Shows on television, and the real world.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I guess at the beginning when they were like rating women, that was definitely misogynistic. I don't feel like now it's particularly misogynistic.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jean had made a comment about it being this like sort of anthropological snapshot of like culture at a time. And if that time happens to be misogynistic, like I can detach from like my misogyny meters. Like I can see that something is misogynistic and still be like, that's the world we live in. That's what things are like. I can't think of anything that I've needed to turn off because it was just too sexist.
I had to stop watching Game of Thrones.
Really? I love Game of Thrones.
I mean, I started watching again eventually down the road, but I stopped because all the violence and the porniness was too much for me, actually. And I was just like, ugh, I don't want to look at this anymore.
It did go down a little bit.
But that was early on, so maybe if I stuck it out, I would have gotten over it. But there was a part, I think maybe during the second season, like pretty early on, where he was like bashing prostitutes, and I was just like, and all the like naked girls, like the boobs as wallpaper kind of thing.
The first few seasons have that really hard, and that is a lot. But like I came into that late too. I had a very similar experience where I was like, what are these people watching this stupid show about dragons? That sounds dumb as shit. And then my husband was watching it, and I was like, this show rocks. But I mean, it sucks because it is a show that has a lot of misogyny and has a lot of like very unwatchably sexist things, but it also has like these really strong female characters like Arya Stark, like Brienne of Tarth, until like the last season. I don't know what happened with her there, but like who are super strong like female characters. Even Sansa and Catelyn, and like, yeah. So it sucks to have all these jiggling boobs in your face, but then also have these like awesome characters. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, we should wrap up sort of soon, but okay. I just want to say before we wrap up this like TV show thing is that like because people are really angry at us in the comments about the fact that we watched Jersey Shore. I don't know that I didn't realize that was going to be such a controversial thing.
Yeah, wow.
But
watch it.
I don't really want to justify the TV shows that I watch. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that Vanderpump Rules and Jersey Shore are that bad. I think they're quite interesting and good. But I also don't need to go into some big like feminist defense of them because I don't think they're feminist.
No, they're not feminist.
Like these are not like shows that I think are like politically good or progressive or purposeful in any way.
Yeah. No.
It's just like eating candy.
Yeah, exactly. They just are. There's no evidence that they weren't part of like, capturing the decline of civilization. However, if you're going down, why not enjoy it? They're like good shows.
We're all gonna die of coronavirus. We may as well die while watching Jersey Shore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Remember that was a dark joke to make. Okay, so before we wrap up, there are two things that I want to talk to you about.
Sure.
Because you said there were some things that you thought that feminism got wrong. Gasp.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a number of things that feminism got wrong, of course. Sure. I can think of some inside my head right this moment. And one of the things that you mentioned was James Damore.
Yeah.
So tell me what you think that feminism got wrong about James Damore. And explain what happened there in case people who are watching didn't follow.
Okay, so this happened, I don't know what year this happened. It was a few years ago. It had to be like maybe 2016, maybe 2015. The way that it was presented from the media was that like this sexist Google, what happened there?
I dropped my phone on the floor through my chair.
Okay.
It fell through the cracks and then smashed onto the floor.
All right. So
I just snorted.
Nice.
Go ahead.
The media presented that there was this Google employee who had written this very sexist document about how women didn't belong in the tech industry and in Google, and it was very sexist, and he was very sexist, and I think probably the words alt-right were thrown around, probably. And he was fired, and people were like kind of in this uproar, like, oh, fuck that guy, and like, yeah, see, this is proof in itself that the tech industry is sexist, and which I think is true, but not because of that. But if you actually read the paper that James Damore wrote, and you read it like in good faith, you know what I mean? Where you're like where you're open to just like hearing what he is, his bigger point that he's trying to make versus like being mad automatically that he'd be trying to make a point in the first place. And so like looking for things to nitpick, because that's what happened was he used the big five personality traits to kind of talk about what Google was saying was the reason why.
What that is. What are the big five personality traits?
Let me Google
or
that.
Whatever. Sorry. Okay. I mean, I just want people in case people didn't like follow. I sort of want them to get an idea of what he was saying.
One of them is neuroticism, and women tend to be higher in that than men. And he was making the point that like that the personality sort of mixture that was needed for tech was not necessary, or like to want it, to like to do it, was not necessarily more conducive to women doing it. But I mean, his bigger point was just that like it wasn't that women were being discriminated against at Google, and so they couldn't fix things by pretending that women were being discriminated at Google, because Google was trying to hire women left and right. It's just that like the pool wasn't there. So like if there was anything, I don't know if he made this point, but it's something that I would definitely make, is just like, if you wanted more women in tech, it's not about being discriminated against at Google. It's about like way, way, way before that. It's like middle school, high school, like dealing with that with girls. And like, so nothing that he said was particularly unfair. Calling it sexist to me seems ridiculous. But he was just like destroyed in the media. And at the time, I was just like, yeah, fuck that guy. Like, I don't want to pay attention to this. I don't care. Even though it's actually like the thing that I have a degree in, I was just like, yeah, it is sexist. Fine, whatever. Because I felt like it, I don't know, maybe I felt like it would give me an advantage in some way, or like, I don't know. I just didn't really think about it. But then like
it would
later,
give you an advantage in some way if you went along with the narrative that it was sexist.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's also hard to challenge. I didn't really pay close attention to it either when it was happening, to be honest. And I sort of feel bad about that. But
me too.
I mean, it's hard to challenge things when those kinds of things are going on, because there's such a storm around it. And this is one of those things where in feminism, you're only allowed to have one opinion. And if you tried to have another opinion, you would get like majorly attacked and kicked out of feminism. So you would have to have a really, really, really strong argument. So you'd really have to know exactly what you're talking about. You'd have to have like studied his memo and be able to like defend the whole thing. So it would be quite an endeavor to take on.
Although, to be fair, it's like 3 pages. Like, it's really short. Anybody could read it. Like, I finally
understand. Like, why did people I guess they just willfully misunderstood.
Well, yeah, anybody who read it was willfully misunderstanding it. Like, you can read it. Anybody can read it. It's in plain language. There might be things that you think like, maybe I disagree with that, but like, that's something that it's within the realm of like reasonable arguments to be made.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely remember reading excerpts and being like, I don't get it. Like, what is everyone so mad about?
Why are they mad at? Yeah. Well, yeah, that was the main thing that they latched on
to.
Was they were saying that he was calling women neurotic. He was saying, all women are neurotic. It's like what they latched onto. But what he was saying was they tended to rate higher in the trait of neuroticism, which is not quite the same thing. It's like, yeah.
I mean, this is unfortunate because this is just the kind of thing that's going to make people not take feminists seriously.
Yeah, totally. And
like, they just pounce on stuff without reading and without thinking, and they just knee-jerk and they get guys fired.
Well, I mean, that's not just feminism, though, is it? I mean, that's every... Yeah. But we're always looked under.
It's the entire left.
Yeah, and the right, honestly. I mean, but the right's out of cultural power. So, like, it's...
Right.
It's easy to kind of let the right off the hook right now because they don't have the power.
They aren't the ones getting people fired.
To fuck up. Yeah, exactly. But if they did, they would. And they were when they did. So,
totally.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a universal trait that people are both,
people like,
they want to, they like to pile on. They want to like enforce their view, and that they're hypocrites. Like everybody, the left was the big free speech people, when it was like, when Christians kind of had the hold of the culture still, and now that they don't, the left is like, well, hate speech is
now that we have power, we want control over who can say what and what is published and what kinds of conversations you're allowed to have.
Exactly. And like I notice in the radical feminist sphere that there are a lot of women who, they don't have power now. So it's easy for them to say like, oh, I want free speech. But there's certain arguments that will open up that realization that like, well, if they did have power, if they had it, they wouldn't respect the free speech of people they disagreed with. And like that
they already don't.
Yeah. Right.
There's a lot of women in radical feminism who don't support free speech.
Yeah. And I just like, to me, it's like, that's nice. Like, I know that you think that you're right, but so does everybody else. Everybody else who doesn't support free speech thinks that they're right and that they can figure out who should have speech and who shouldn't. And it's
Of course.
And you know how that can go.
Yeah, I mean, this is what bothers me about the feminist argument against free speech is, you know, some people will say, I don't want free speech, I want fair speech. You know, I want feminist speech. I support this kind of speech. And it's like, well, other people don't.
Oh. She
can't get under the blanket, and she wants me to stand up and walk across the room to the couch to lift up the blanket so that she can get under the blanket. That's why she's whining. She's okay, you guys. My dog is just fine. Okay. Sorry. But, you know, like, it's like, you know, why do you get to decide what acceptable speech is? I know that from your perspective, this seems like the right, just, fair thing to do. But from somebody else's perspective, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
And their speech is the right, just, fair speech, and your speech is the harmful speech. So who gets to decide?
Yeah.
You're in power, you get to decide, and someone else is oppressed. They're in power, they get to decide, you're oppressed. Like, it's never going to end.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just very unwise.
Yeah, I'm just, like, generally kind of done with the hubris of, like, I mean, right now it's the left. It's across all spheres of the left, like, all different parts. But just this, like, idea that, like, you know what's best. Like, why are you so sure of yourself? Even feminists, even radical feminists. Like, I think that's, like, it becomes a big thing because I'm always kind of asking women, like, why are you so sure of yourself? Or, like, pointing out that there's no reason to be so sure of yourself. Like, it's just, to me, like, being really sure of yourself of what you believe is dangerous. Like, you should be questioning. You should be trying to see, does that actually make sense? You should be checking with yourself because we all have biases. And, like, I don't know. I mean, I just, like, obviously I've come to the conclusion that, like, I'm mostly aligned with radical feminism, maybe entirely aligned with it, depending on how other people see what radical feminism is. But, like, I always want to be checking because when you're, like, sure of yourself, like, you make weird decisions and weird choices about how to treat other people.
Yeah. And the other thing that you mentioned that you thought that feminism got wrong was Gamergate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know, and, like, I'm still digging through that, but certainly it does seem clear now that time has had its chance to, like, sort of for things to settle down and it's not as crazy and you can kind of look at the analysis. Certainly some characters involved in Gamergate who were, like, victim characters really seem less like victims after a while.
Like whom?
Zoe Quinn is definitely one of them, who seems very much not the victim that she painted herself. And yeah, but, like, I'm not saying that there wasn't, like, if you say, like, feminism got Gamergate wrong, like, that doesn't mean saying that there isn't, like, sexism in gaming. I'm sure there is. I'm positive there is.
Who the fuck plays video games anyway, though? So how would we know?
Well, yeah. I mean, there definitely is, but also, like,
of course,
things need... I do think that feminism needs to, like, give things a little bit of time to adjust to women. And you just kind of, like, I know it's going to sound bad, but sometimes you do just have to, like, let things roll off your back. You know, if somebody's not, like, if they just make, like, some dumb little bit sexist comment, you know, like, are you really going to, like, stop the world and everything you're doing to address that one comment? Because, like, that's in some ways letting that comment run your life a little bit. Like, you can look at it through the lens of, like, well, I'm a feminist and I'm going to address this and I'm going to make sure that it, you know, ends. And sometimes that is the right move, but sometimes it's like, then you're letting sexism kind of, like, run your life and, like, run what you do. And you have to balance that.
I mean, imagine going on like Twitter and trying to like respond to every sexist thing anybody said to you. Like it would just be like, it was such a waste of time. It's so silly.
Exactly.
Like it's like, yeah, people are gonna say shitty things to you, mean things to you, sexist things to you. It doesn't mean any of those things are okay, but
yeah. And it doesn't mean that any of those things are true. And if you can like let them roll over you, and then show other women that they can do that too, that's maybe a little bit better.
I mean, I mean, people are also trying to get a rise out of you often. I think this is really bad advice that we're giving people. Just ignore sexism, you guys.
Well, it's not ignoring
sexism.
No, like, I mean, it's different if it's sustained, if it's one person, if it's, you know, in the workplace, if it's something like that. But yeah, like online, if you're playing a game, if it's somebody, a stranger, they're trying to, yeah, exactly. And they're trying to get a rise out of you. And like, in many ways, like the worst thing you can do is let them. And yeah, I've definitely like, I get it. I do get like why women were upset about like gaming, but I think a lot of people who didn't give a shit about gaming decide to make it like their problem too, which is like fine, I guess. Like maybe the women needed support, but like I don't
care about gaming at all, so I really didn't get involved.
So many people have so many opinions.
A video game? Like,
yeah.
I don't understand.
But I think
as I mentioned to you earlier, the last video game I played was Super Mario Brothers when I was like 10.
Yeah, I think the last thing I played was Donkey Kong Country, like maybe 10 or 11. So
I can't relate to this whole gaming thing. I think it's silly.
I mean, I like watching people play certain games, actually.
That's weird.
Well,
like watching other people play games?
Well, because I'm like really bad at like the joysticks. Like I can't like, because the last like the Nintendo games, they like kind of go like linearly, like across like, you know, it's like 2-dimensional, but then like the like Xbox came, and then you have like a joystick to control like what you see, and then another joystick to control like where you move, and I just like could never master it. But I really like the game Portal and Portal 2. Like I really like watching people play it because it's like, and like telling them what to do, because it's like a puzzle game, but that's it.
It sounds really irritating on both ends. Okay, I'm going to just read you a couple comments that I want you to respond to, and then if other people have questions, they can ask, and otherwise we'll wrap up.
Okay.
Karen, you're great and smart, and I love your podcasts.
Sweet.
But in what universe are you living in if you think the world is improving for women? Maybe that's something that just slipped out because we hear it so much. Our rights are being sacrificed at the altar at fake wokeness, while children learn about sex from misogyny propaganda.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I agree that is really bad. But in like the whole history of all of time, women have it pretty good. And I do think we need to make sure that we don't get rid of the things that like allowed us to get that, which is like liberalism. Actually, like I've just been thinking about it a lot because I used to consider myself like a big like anti-capitalist, but the more I think about liberalism, the more I think like you're gonna miss me when I'm gone. Like I just really think it might be more important than I was giving it credit to. Yes, obviously the trans stuff, like and like women being like redefined, I mean, this is like totally crazy new territory, but thank God we're not like restricted in like our movements, like that we are allowed, like we can go talk about this, and we're allowed
to drive cars over here.
We can drive cars, and we can have jobs, and we
don't have
money.
To ask a male guardian to leave the house or travel or to drive a car.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that I don't love acting more like, I think it's actually really bad for people individually, because I've been there, to act or to, I don't want to say act more oppressed than they are, but to like assess the situation as more oppressive than it is, you know, by like weighing things more heavily on that side. I think that that's like a very negative thing to do to yourself personally. And that's, oh, I am doing vocal fry now. Oh, shit.
I didn't even notice.
I think that's one of the things that is one of the big problems with like the critical theory stuff, both when it hits feminism and racism and everything else, or anti-racism and everything else, is that it like asks you to judge everything as more sexist, more racist, more homophobic, more transphobic than it might actually be. And I think it's dangerous. And that's like the only thing I'm really just asking women to like think twice about is like, was it as sexist as you think? You know, think about the whole grand scheme of things, the history of women in the country you live in and the worldwide position of women at the moment.
Yeah, well, and I would extend it beyond just the personal, because I feel like Canadians always like to pretend that Canada is worse than it actually is. And Canada is pretty good. I mean, I hate Canada, but Canada's a pretty good place to live in. I just hate Canada because we're such boring pussies.
Whoa. Oh, was that a sexist slur you've just used there?
I already canceled myself. I can say what I want now.
Okay.
Liberating.
My husband told me off for saying pussy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, I don't think you're sending a really good feminist message. I was like, what? But yeah, Canada, like
people Canadian progressives will insist that Canada is just as bad as everywhere else, and that is fucking bullshit, and it is very offensive to all the other places where people in poverty and women are doing very, very badly, and it's very dangerous, and they're being murdered because they're doing journalism, or they're being raped for trying to get to the bathroom. Like, and there's a lot of places in the world where racism and sexism and homophobia and poverty are so awful and so much worse than in Canada. And it's like this cultural relativism, right? Where we're not allowed to talk about, you just got a bit quieter. Did you do something?
No, I didn't do anything.
Oh, okay, you're back.
I was just, invigorated by what you were saying, because I agree with you so hard. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, sorry, it just sounded like you were getting quieter, so I was worried something unplugged, but it's fine. Yeah, no, like, but yeah, we're not supposed to talk about other countries because that's somehow racist, because I guess it's like judging other cultures or something like that. And we're also not supposed to forget about how awful and racist and sexist and homophobic and right-wing Canada is, and that's just really not the case. Like, of course sexism happens in Canada, you know, there's still like rampant prostitution in Canada, there's still trafficking that happens here, you know, Indigenous women are in a really marginalized position in this society in Canada, you know, racism still happens here.
Yeah.
But Lord, we are so much better off
in
so many other places, and it's really insane and ridiculous to pretend otherwise.
Even in the United States, that's true, I think. Obviously, it's more true. Like, the United States is more mixed. Like, since every state has different laws, and like, you know, so there's some places where it's going to be more true than others. But like, even across the board, it's certainly better than it's been at various times in the past, and much better than in so many places. And like, we have rights to sue people when things go wrong, and to, you know, hold, you know, it doesn't maybe always work, but we have rights to hold power to account, and like, or, you know, and to take them to court and stuff. Like, that's not the case in a lot of places. Like, you can't go up against authorities.
Yeah. Well, and it would serve us well to be like to practice gratitude. I'm sorry, it's such a cheesy thing to say, but it's true, to practice gratitude and be grateful for what we have and try to hang on to it instead of complaining and pretending like we're living in a fascist state when we're not, and try to hang on to the things like that we have, like democracy and free speech. Yeah, instead of like trashing it all because we're so privileged and entitled and we're so insistent that we're living under this like horrible fascist, like, you know, like oppressive, racist, misogynist state that, you know, like it's because they've never lived in a state like that, so they don't, you know, and it's like the whole world, especially the whole world in the West, and especially privileged people and especially college educated people, seem to desperately want to be victimized and oppressed. So it's very odd.
I think that part of it comes from like guilt, you know, like just guilt that you're doing better than others, and a need to not flaunt that. You know, you gotta like be a victim, and then you don't have responsibility, or you know, like how could you possibly help the third world when you're being subjected to the cis hetero patriarchal, you know, racist,
the violence of misgendering,
yeah, exactly, like
the violence of being correctly sexed,
right,
because you appear to be the sex that you are and people can't read your mind,
right? And so, and like people will kind of judge it like, well, there's capitalism and there's this and there's that, and like, but like, you know, things to be guilty about. But it's like, you know what, stop thinking that you have such a big impact on, you know, the third world or whatever. Like, yeah, you can like consume more ethically, you can try to like get politicians, but like you're also like just you're a product of happenstance. You were just born where you were born. You don't choose it either, you know. And like yeah, I don't know, like I have to like think more about this because it's something that I've been thinking about lately, but I haven't like fully like formed all my thoughts on it. But it's just like, enjoy what you have, because I think there's an idea, because you were kind of taught when we were young that like this is this amazing thing and it's going to last forever and we're going to just keep progressing, and like it just like takes care of itself, and it might not. We could lose it all, you know. That's a scary thought.
We sure could. Yeah very easily. There could be an earthquake. There could be some kind of virus.
Oh no. This
dark
is it,
jokes.
Huh?
This is big dark jokes. Okay, so this is another comment that I wanted to offer you the opportunity to respond to. I tried listening to this with an open mind, especially due to the theme of this video and series, but several topics raised here rubbed me wrong. I recommend reading Lundry Bancroft's Why Does He Do That? About abusive men. He addresses several common myths about why men abuse, including the idea that abusive men have suffered abuse themselves. Spoiler, they haven't. Then, the take that men exist to protect women and women to protect men from themselves. Come on. I can get those bogus evolutionary psychology theories from my male boomer colleagues. I don't need to watch feminist videos for that. It would be nice if at least these very common false hypotheses could be left behind. That said, thanks for the videos and interviews. I do agree that it can be good to be confronted with differing opinions, even though they might be frustrating.
Do we really talk about abuse? Like, I'm not even sure what that...
Well, I think we talked about, I think it was sort of one of those unclear areas, because I think I said that it was likely that men who... I might have said that it was likely that men who behaved in abusive ways were modeled that behavior when they were kids, like their father was abusive, so they saw him abusing their mom, or maybe they were abused themselves and they grew up to abuse. I mean, I think that's sort of like a normal thing. I mean, to kind of learn that behavior. Where else does it come from? Like, I don't think abusive men just are inherently abusive. I think they learn that behavior from probably their family homes or the world around them, but most likely from their fathers or some other men in their life, I would assume.
Yeah.
And men are so violent to other men. You know, men bully other men abuse other men. They also abuse women, of course. But, you know, the cycle starts, like, the cycle is sort of never ending, it seems to me.
Yeah.
And I was just saying, you know, men, I guess I was saying men also deserve healing and care. And it's a tough one because it's not, I wasn't trying to excuse men who abuse. I was just saying, you know, like, we can't just write people off.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, there are varying degrees of abuse. Like, there are just actual psychopaths.
Totally. Like, if somebody's like a sociopath or is sadistic, then I would kind of be inclined to write them off.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know. Yeah. Like a man who's like,
I'm just saying they need help. I'm not saying excuse them. I'm not saying if your partner abuses you, stick around and be compassionate towards them. Like, no, don't do that. Definitely don't do that.
Yeah.
Because that man's probably not going to stop abusing you. That's not usually what happens. But he doesn't necessarily deserve to be wholly written off as a person and vilified. I mean, if we're not, like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it does also depend on the degrees. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's a complicated topic.
It's totally a complicated topic. Yeah, and I don't even, like, I'll leave it to the experts, you know. But I do want, you know.
I mean, I think part of the comment, the part that you said, I mean, that was something that I was sort of talking about vaguely. Yeah. But what you said was that you and I wanted to offer you the opportunity to defend yourself or whatever. Like, you were saying, like, maybe I was saying that if I was walking in the woods and a bear came along, I would like my partner to fight off that bear for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was.
And you were saying a man would protect you and you would maybe protect him from doing crazy things to himself. So that's what she's responding to.
Yeah, I knew what that part was. And I mean, that was just sort of like me thinking about, like, okay, it's very clear and obvious that men in a society need to protect women in a society. Because, like, you know, when you get down to like caveman level or like, you know, hunter gatherer, because women are smaller, they're easier to take by other tribes. They are carrying like the life of like the next generation. Like, it's very clear to me that men do have some role and probably a natural instinct to protect women who they're related to or who they sense as like in group. So, I mean, it was just me trying to think of like, well, okay, what's the exchange there? I mean, you could say the exchange is like, well, the women give life and like that is the exchange. That's what, you know, because you kind of think like, okay, equality isn't symmetry, but like what is one thing giving? You know, what is one sex giving and what is the other sex giving? I was thinking like, well, you know, men are like that strength and that ability to protect women does have this dark edge where they go like too far. And so there is this sort of like, there is a thing, and you can see it in families with mothers and their sons, with wives and their husbands, where like a guy can get too heated up and a woman will say, stop, 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 stop. Ryan, stop.
I was just thinking that.
Stop it.
I'm glad that we could bring this back.
Back to Jersey
Full
Shore.
circle back to Jersey Shore.
So maybe that's always, it was a hypothesis. And I get it. Yeah, maybe you can get it from your misogynistic coworkers, but I can't. So let me just have my fun thoughts. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying maybe.
This has been Karen and Megan's fun thoughts and germs on the same drugs. I mean, maybe we actually literally are on the same drugs. Well, I'm taking cough medication.
I'm not.
Are you on any medication?
Just margarita tonight.
Just margaritas. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe another time we'll take some drugs and we'll do a live stream. I was worried that I was like, I feel a little bit loopy. I hope this is going to go okay.
Yeah, we'll see when we review it later.
I suspect more than anything, it will just be dull.
No.
Not you, me.
You were fine.
You're okay. You're okay.
All right.
I'm joking. It was great. I mean, I really enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, I enjoyed talking to you.
And I hope that we can do this regularly.
Maybe they liked it too. I can't read I'll put my glasses on now. I took them off because it was too
right
the
now.
light.
There's somebody named Coronavirus in the comment section talking about hand sanitizer.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, I mean, you guys can't get my germs from the computer, as we mentioned early in the video. You guys are all protected from whatever virus it is that we have, which is not coronavirus. You guys don't worry. Do a live stream smoking weed. I don't smoke weed.
Why not?
I don't like it. It makes me feel sleepy and hungry. And like I can't do anything. Yeah, then I just have to lie on the couch all night and eat candy and watch TV, and that's not how I want to spend my life. I know that sounds fun, but
no, I get it. No, I do.
It makes me so antisocial, and like it doesn't do anything for me. It really doesn't. Like I'm just kind of like, now I just feel kind of useless and lazy. I don't want to feel useless and lazy. I want to do shit.
I want to find weed that makes me feel like that. I have the opposite. Like weed makes me really sociable. It makes me want to talk a lot. It makes me want to write a lot. It makes me have a lot of thoughts. It keeps me awake. I can't do it. If I do it, I know that I have to be awake for the next 3 to 4 hours. Yeah, I have like a much different experience.
That sounds great. I mean, if I tried to smoke weed for years and years and years, like, because I mean, basically everyone I know smokes weed. I live in Vancouver. Yeah. All my boyfriends have always been like pretty chronic users.
Yeah.
Although fine, like not like stoner dudes, just like the kind of guys who like put weed in their tobacco. And I never seen stone. They, so there's always been weed around, and so ever since high school. And I like the smell of weed. Like I like the act of smoking weed. I just don't like how it really doesn't do anything useful for me. And so I think, and when I was first trying, I was like drinking, and then somebody would have a joint. I'd be like, okay. And then I just like would be fucked, like that. I would be like so dizzy and nauseous and not, and that took me a while to learn that lesson. Like, don't ever smoke weed if you've been drinking.
Yeah.
And then, like I'd be at home with my roommates or at a friend's place, and we'd smoke weed, and sometimes we'd like watch The Simpsons and eat snacks, and I guess that's kind of fun, but it doesn't do much for me except make me feel like I want to go to bed, and that I get really self-conscious and like can't talk much, which is not like I love talking, obviously.
Yeah, no, I don't have that experience. Although I have done the drinking and smoking thing, and I've done it before doing a performance, like thinking that it was going to like give me what I needed to like calm down and like not have stage fright. And it was awful. It was like super embarrassing. Like later, like I really, really did a bad job. So yeah, I don't do it when things are important. I do it like, when I just have like some free time and I just want to like think a lot and talk a lot. But yeah, I think there's different, like, I don't understand, like, I'm not enough of a smoker to know like, oh, there's this strain does this and this strain does that. But I guess there is a difference in something.
I've tried them all. I mean, I don't know enough about them to know either, but I have access to so much
all kinds,
different kinds of weed.
Right.
It's like, I just don't care. Like that's the other thing is people are like, oh, like when I say that, people are like, oh, but you should try. I'm like, but I don't really care. Like why? Like I'll just have a glass of wine. I know that I enjoy that.
Yeah. Drinking is a good drug.
Some popcorn. I like that.
I someday would like to do mushrooms, but I don't know.
Like somebody says cocaine.
I did Adderall as like a student for a long time. I don't think I'd like cocaine. I didn't like Adderall.
It's like a millennial thing, eh?
Yeah, I don't care about uppers.
I'm not going to get into my upper history just right now.
Okay, fine. I understand that you're a meth addict, but we don't need to talk about it.
I've never done meth.
Sure.
That's all I'm going to say about that. You guys can discern all the rest. No, I've never done meth.
Okay,
let's get out of here.
You want to leave now that we brought up your meth history?
No, you're missing the whole point of what I was trying to communicate with my no meth message. Was not that I was being like, haha, I haven't done meth. I really haven't done meth. But
Sure.
anyway, I'm not going to over-explain this.
I know. It's fine. It's fine. It's late. You've had bourbon. You've had cough syrup.
I mean, I probably have done meth. Like, speed is basically meth, and like Ritalin is Ritalin's like legal meth, right?
No,
Basically.
Adderall is meth. Oh, they're coming for you now.
They reported, you guys. I thought you liked me.
You're gonna get swatted.
Fuck. Okay, let's end this now.
Okay, bye.
Okay, let's do this again sometime soon. I hope everyone enjoyed this, and if they didn't, too bad.
Tough luck.
But thank you for tuning in to the Same
Thank
Drugs
you.
with Meghan Murphy and Karen Tumajz. Go
Yeah.
look her up on the internet. Actual feminism is very funny.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. How do I
Bye.
get?
You try. I'm not going to tell you.
I do.
Joking.
Oh wait, I get my studio.
Okay, I'm gonna click end broadcast now.
Okay, cool.
See you on Facebook.
All right.
Okay, bye.